Hey guys, what is up and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the garage. Today we're going to be talking about jet skis, but more specifically we're going to be talking about the products that I use to maintain the ski, with it being a saltwater ski, to try to prevent the corrosion that comes along with that. Stay tuned. Alright you guys, so as this video goes on you will see these three products being used, being salt remover, 656, and the device that plugs into the back of the jet ski to rinse out the exhaust. I'll talk more about these as the video goes on. Alright guys, for this next part, what we're going to do is you take this gun that ends up plugging into the back of the jet ski. This is just a Amazon purchase that I have, but it gives you some milliliters right here to measure by. So typically I fill this cup just a little bit past the 60 milliliters line, and then I grab this salt remover right here, and I top this thing off the rest of the way up to 120 milliliters of salt remover. Alright guys, so now that we're here and outside of the garage, we're getting ready to spray down the ski with this mixture of water and the salt remover. And just remember, as you're doing this, you want to spray from the top down, and you don't want to use a sponge. These jet skis are made out of really soft plastics, and if you use a sponge, you'll put a bunch of swirl marks in the soft plastics from the abrasion from the salt. So just remember that as we're moving forward, and we'll get going. Make sure when washing the ski that you also hit the jet pump. This is an area that is often forgotten when washing these skis. The bolts that hold together the jet pump will rust over time, so make sure that you guys hit these maybe every other time that you ride the ski, just to keep some salt remover on these bolts. Right, as you guys are washing down the ski, make sure to get the wheels. As you can see, with this being a saltwater ski, I am starting to pick up some rust right here on the hubs, even though I hit this with salt remover every time I use the ski. Make sure you're also getting the bunks that hold the ski up, as well as your leaf springs. Just something you want to make sure you're trying to get. As you can see, I'm picking up rust, but that is the nature of the beast when using a saltwater ski. When you're washing the ski, you also want to take these seats off, because if you kind of zoom in and check this spot out right here, you can still see that I have salt rings from last time that I rode the ski. So just another area you want to get when washing the ski. Also, just a pro tip, when washing these skis, you want to set the seats in a vertical position, because these things do hold on to a lot of seawater. And if you set them up vertical, it'll drain that seawater out of the seats. Alright guys, and another area that is often forgotten is the storage drawer at the front of these Sea-Doos. You guys can see in the corner of each side of this storage bin, there are holes. Those holes do immediately drain water right into the engine bay, which is how these skis take on water if you're riding them fairly rough. So just another area that you guys need to make sure that you're using salt remover on to get rid of the salt and debris that accumulates in this bin. While I'm right here, I wanted to show you guys the spot of delamination in the plastic. I wanted to let you guys know that that is from sunscreen. So make sure when you guys are on your guys' ski in particular, that if you're going to put on sunscreen, do that away from the ski, because a glob of it dripped onto mine and it ate right through the clear. For this next part, I want to talk about how you clean the salt and salt rings out of the engine bay, and how you take care of this area, as this area does take on water when you ride the ski. So inevitably, when you start cleaning out that front storage bin, all those debris and salt filter down into the engine bay, so you're going to have to get into the engine bay. So to do that, there is 12 bolts that run around the outside of the jet ski, as well as the circle in the middle that just has this cap over the top of it. So you got to remove all 12 of those bolts to get to that. And again, that's going to be a T30 star bit. If you guys can see the upper deck, this is what you are left with. As you can see, I still have debris and stuff that were around this hole right here. So it's going to be something I'm going to have to wipe down as well. But the next thing I had to do was put a trash bag over my air intake and over my oil catch can. So here's my air intake right here, and my oil catch can is up there at the front of the motor. So if you guys have a stock ski, you won't have to do that, But any of you modified guys, I'm not trying to insult your intelligence or anything like that, but just make sure you're covering up your air filter as to not get water into the motor. So what I'm about to do next, as you guys can see, if you look at this cylinder head right here, valve cover, you can see that I have quite a bit of salt built up on this right here. So I am about to run some salt remover into this engine bay in small amounts to try to clean up this engine as best I can. Now, as always, in Sean Lindsay fashion, I made this harder on myself because I did install some transom lights on the back of my ski, and I didn't make those quick disconnect lights. So because of that, I end up having to use a shop vac to get the water out of my ski that I'm about to put in there, due to the fact that I can't unscrew these transom lights because of how they're wired. So I'll show you guys this process. So now, since I've washed down the engine, you guys can see that I do have water that has accumulated on both sides of the drive shaft. So that's fine, but what I'm about to do is stick the shop vac down in each gap on both sides of the drive shaft in order to get that water out. Now I got the hose hooked up to the rear of the FJ. I'm getting ready to wash all of the remaining salt water out of the exhaust. The salt remover will also clean out the exhaust and try to get the rest of that out so you don't have any corrosion going on inside of your exhaust pipes. Now, when doing this, one of the most important things to know is that you always start your jet ski first, and you do not turn the water on down here first. If you turn the water on first, you will force water into the internals of the motor, and you'll do quite a bit of damage to the jet ski if you let that water run for a while without turning on your ski. Alright guys, now with us being back in the garage, what you're going to want to do is put something underneath the front wheel of the jet ski to elevate the front of the ski, so that all the water we just put in that front storage bin and inside the engine bay to remove the salt that's in the engine bay will run back here right around the drive shaft. And if I shake it, you can see all the water that's down there next to the drive shaft on both sides. So now we're about to get the shop vac and get all that water out of the ski. Hose in place, you guys can see all that water moving around down there. I'm getting ready to try to show you guys as best I can how I get that water out, and here is the before and what the after will be after I use the shop vac. I'll just turn off the volume for you guys so you don't have to listen to this. After, you can see that all of the water on both sides of that drive shaft is now gone. There's a little bit in there, but that's not a big deal because that'll cook off when it evaporates once the engine's on. I just wanted to show it doesn't have to be perfect, but you just want to try to get as much of that water out because that water is full of salt. With all of the water just being taken out of the ski by the shop vac, the next step is going to be to use this 656. As you can see right there on the can, it protects against corrosion. So what we're going to do with this is just douse everything in the engine bay to try to get a good layer of protection on everything that you can see inside of the engine bay. Again, this doesn't have to be perfect either, just try to get as much coverage as you can. Make sure to get the water box over here in the corner, as well as the intake or intercooler over here in the corner as well. That was the last step as far as what you want to do for cleaning the jet ski and just preventative protections that you guys can do to help extend the life of your guys' jet ski. So the next step for me is going to be putting this top deck back on and throwing the seats back on. And then she will be ready to rock for the event that we have going on here in Destin and Pensacola, Florida with JRN, which I believe is Jet Rider Nation. Just like that, we are done cleaning the jet ski and taking our preventative measures to help keep this thing from rusting. I didn't end up putting the seat back on mine because I ran the music quite a bit last weekend, so the battery is pretty low at this point in time. So because of that, I got it on a tender. But please, if you guys like the video, please like and subscribe, and we'll be back with another one here shortly.